Stacy, hey, congratulations on Family Style.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So, so tell me when and how you were brought on board on this very unique project.
Actually, it was very random. I went to an ArcLight event, which was a women in film event, and I met Marie, who was the director of the show, and we were friends for a good couple of years, and she knew that I loved food, and when we first went and met up for a drink after the ArcLight event, we were talking about food and culture, and she knew I was mixed Hong Kong Chinese, mixed British, and we just had this great conversation about food. And I think she just saw my passion for food and culture, and then a couple of years later, when this show came about, she brought me on to audition, and yeah, so I just went in, and I think she was also reading my website, which is called Eurasian Vogue, eurasianvogue.com, and she saw that I was interviewing people and had traveled quite a bit, and yeah, I think she just put the two together and then just brought me into audition, and that was how it came about. So yeah.
So you always wanted to do something like this? Would you consider yourself a food aficionado?
I mean, I would never, I mean, it was never something that I thought, oh, I'm like a connoisseur of food or anything, but I just always loved food. And I think, just being able to talk to people about it and interview people is such a great opportunity. I love interviewing people anyway, and meeting new people. And I think just the blends of culture and things. And I think just as, having that Asian culture and that mixed heritage, I think food is something that's really has always been an important part of my life. Growing up in Hong Kong for 6 years, pretty much the first 6 years of my life, it was a huge part of it. My dad's a massive foodie. He's a good cook, and we used to go to dim sum every Saturday. So we would have all my Hong Kong family together, literally everyone, like my aunts, cousins, this huge table, and we would sit around and eat for hours. And I think whilst when I was a kid, I didn't appreciate how long we spent at those meals, because it was like 4 hours. I just always really loved the idea of getting family together. And then when I moved to England, I did kind of the same thing, but English style. So I'd go up to my nan and granddad's house in England, and we'd have the English version of our traditional meal, which was our roast dinner. And I used to always look forward to that. So again, I think just that kind of combination of family and food, and that home comfort, and what that brings and what that means, I've always really enjoyed. And then family style really blends that to talking of, to our guests, and talking about food and traditions, and it kind of just brings everything together. So this project for me, and it was just like a dream.
So tell me, because the fact that you are mixed, is the table conversations the same in both cultures?
In terms of food, you mean in terms of when we have those meals together?
Yeah.
I think so. I think ultimately, family is family, isn't it? And you kind of always have those just different. Yeah, I think it pretty much is. I mean, it's always going to be slightly different, because Hong Kong style was very different. It was much louder. It was a lot more people than my English side, for sure. But I think that's one thing that I've always realized, actually, as well, with food and conversations, is that although they're slightly different, I think we're all, as human beings, it's there's always that commonality there, isn't there, of like, oh, what have they been up to, and what school are they going to, and how's this going, and you haven't done your homework. I think all those kind of conversations growing up as a kid are pretty much the same in your households, but with just slight differences.
So tell us, for those people who don't know, what is your specific background? Because obviously you love to interview and you're a great conversationalist.
Oh, thank you. So my background, I actually started as an actress. I trained in theatre, and that's what I was doing in London for a while. Growing up, I did modelling as a kid, and started that at the age of 10, and just always really loved the arts and then theatre. And so that was my training. And then I actually started up a production company after I graduated, because I really wanted to explore more of my Asian heritage, and I really felt it was important to bring movies that were of mixed culture to, you know, to the table when possible. So I really wanted to start up a production company that brought together different voices. And so so I started up this production company, and whilst I was doing that, I also wanted to explore further the culture, and that was why Your Asian Vogue came about, which was my website where I talk about fashion and culture, and how the two are really kind of married together. I was just always so fascinated that whenever you go to a different country, you can really tell so much about the country because of the way that people dress, and it's just such a part of the history of the country. And so yeah, so that was kind of the background, and then that's why sort of Family Style, I guess, marries the two together, the, you know, my acting, well, you know, and then my Your Asian Vogue, and my love of culture. So
on a project like this, because right now you're speaking to me from Great Britain.
From England, yes, yeah.
So do you have to like travel to Los Angeles, or how does this work for you?
Yeah, so I'm actually based in LA, but I travel a lot to London, and I spent a lot of time in Asia as well. But so I'm currently in England, and yeah, I mean, I'm, as I said, I'm primarily based in LA, but I'm fortunate that I get to travel quite a lot, and because I have family in different places, it's always a good reason to come and see people in different places as well, and then work brings me here as well. But you know, with everything happening remotely at the moment, it's enabled me to kind of be anywhere and talk to you while I'm while I'm in England. So the joy of technology, right?
Absolutely. And obviously, we know there are good Asian food in Asia, but are there good Asian food in England?
Well, I mean, we have Chinatown, which is a great place to go for Asian food, and because obviously, you know, Hong Kong and England have very close ties, so we have a lot of great Hong Kong Chinese food in Chinatown. So yeah, so there is some good places to visit. Yeah, there could be more in the smaller towns. You know, I'd be happy to see more restaurants popping up in the smaller towns, but London has a pretty good selection. So,
what are some of your favorites
in London?
Yeah, or anywhere.
Oh, anywhere. So I mean, I've primarily been in LA, so I have some good local restaurants that I go to in Pasadena. So there's Asawa's, which is a sushi restaurant, which I just love in Pasadena, and there's a great Chinese restaurant on Fair Oaks called Oak Tree Inn, and that does really, really good Chinese food. So they're my two kind of comfort foods whenever I'm back.
So were you surprised that there is a second season of Family Style? Because obviously, you know, a lot of things are always up in the air when it comes to these type of programs.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I was too surprised. I mean, it was, I was so happy that it happened, but the team had been talking about potential season 2. So I was keeping my fingers crossed for sure. But yeah, I was very happy about it. But yeah, I guess I was surprised, but more just we'd been talking about it, so we had everything crossed for it.
Can you give us a preview of what happens with your episodes for season 2?
Yeah, so I did an episode at the Cosmos Kimchi factory, which was such a great experience to go in there. To be honest, I had no idea that the largest kimchi factory in the US was just outside of LA. So going to that was incredible, because we got to see exactly how the kimchi was made, and it was surprising to see actually how much was made by hand. I was expecting so many machines to be doing it, but actually it was about 40 staff members that they had churning out like 10 to 14,000 of tubs of kimchi a day. Yeah, so that was really great to experience that. And I'm a massive kimchi fan, so I actually started to cook a lot of kimchi rice during lockdown because I'd received a couple of big tubs of kimchi, so I perfected my kimchi rice during lockdown. And then I did an episode with Ross Butler, and so that was great to chat to him, especially as he's mixed heritage as well. So we had some really good conversation about that. It's always nice to speak to people who are mixed, because there's certain things that they understand that you know, other people might not have experienced if they aren't mixed. So that was an interesting conversation as well. And he's a good lover of foodie too. So
How much food do they actually give you, and do you guys finish it?
Oh Oh yes, yeah, we do. We devour it, and between takes, but like quickly like finishing everything before they bring the next dish. And if there is anything left, we will box it up and take it. So, but yeah, we do actually get to experience quite a lot of the food, and it's definitely a really good perk of the job.
It is kind of funny is because being part, part Asian, or I'm fully Asian myself. The one of the things that we always enjoy is to take food photos. Do you do that?
I do. I'm very guilty of it. Yeah. Sometimes I forget though. Sometimes I'm too eager to eat it and I get halfway through and then I end up taking this really unattractive, like half-eaten picture of food. But yes, I do. And that's why I love Family Style as well, because they film it so beautifully. I mean, afterwards when you see it, you really get to kind of experience it visually, just how beautiful it all looks. That's what I love about Asian food, is it's so colorful and so beautiful to look at. So they capture that really nicely.
Could you walk me through some of the production, how this actually works? Because obviously you sit down around a table. They bring food, but you can't like immediately just consume it or
I
while
know, as
while
much as
they're-
we want to.
so so
No,
so
I
how
mean,
does this all work?
yeah, so we get there and then we already know obviously what dishes we're going to be trying that day, so we know a little bit about the history of it, and usually it's tied in somewhat to the guests that we have on the show, so that we can, it's really a story about their culture and memories for them, and then if possible, the food centers around that. So we get the dishes and we'll do it by course obviously, and then so they'll come out and then production, and we'll lay them all out exactly how they want them, and then they'll get good shots of it. And then, but really it is actually quite candid, I would say. It's not it's not like, oh, okay, stop, and then we will capture certain ways of eating it, but pretty much it is actually just us having a conversation, and then the conversations will usually last about 2 hours, but then it's condensed down into sort of like an 8-minute segment. So but yeah, it's actually pretty candid, and it's yeah, I think that's what makes it fun, is that it's actually quite real, and just family style, having fun with food.
When are they going to send a production crew to England to film a Family Style
Yeah,
episode?
that would be great. Or I can just get my my iPhone out and start filming. Yeah, that would be great. I should take it to Chinatown.
Excellent. What as I'm starting to wrap things up, one of the things that obviously people are going to watch this on whatever YouTube and other streaming platforms with it. But right now we're going through a pandemic, and it's very hard for us to watch food programs. And we came in visit. I mean, I haven't been to Los Angeles in 6 months, and I only live a couple
Yeah.
of hours away. So I mean, what do you think? Why is it perfect to release a program like this now?
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you brought that up actually, because obviously we are in a really difficult time at the moment, and we actually had to shut production down before we'd finished. So we weren't entirely done with the series before the pandemic happened. So we really did have to pivot. So actually, when you look at the series, it's doing things obviously that we would never be able to do now, which is sit down, share food. So it would be a very, very different experience to look back on that now and think that was only a few months ago. But the team were really amazing, the way that they managed to pivot, and I think it actually made the series, if anything, a bit more meaningful, I think, in a way, because we do talk about that, we do bring that into it, and I think it really made us appreciate it. And we actually did a campaign to try and help support restaurants throughout the pandemic, because they were obviously really struggling, and there was a lot of xenophobia unfortunately happening, and especially in the beginning, and still continues now unfortunately. And so we really wanted to try and do what we could to support that, and to show the customers that they are still open, that they are doing takeouts, and the way that they've pivoted. And then, as I said, the team really did adapt and managed to do some animations and different conversations to enable us to finish the series. But I think it's actually a good time to release it, because people are going through a really tough time at the moment, and there are people that do live alone, and it has been really difficult for them to not be able to go out and socialize and see people. And so I think hopefully this series will bring that to them, and bring some yeah, entertainment and some light relief, as well as some more serious conversations around it and what's been happening. So I'm hoping that they can at least kind of live vicariously at the moment and just say, well, you know, sit down with a meal of their own and watch the show and enjoy it with some of our fun guests that we have on the show. So hopefully it's a good time.
I can tell that you miss real human interaction.
Don't we all?
So let me wrap it up with one more with you. Obviously, it's a silly question to ask, but you know, times like this, how are you staying creative and sane?
Yeah, I mean, we've been doing a lot of cooking at home, which has been fun, actually trying to recreate some of the dishes that we've been enjoying whilst we were actually in restaurants. So it's actually been a nice time to actually get back to basics a little bit and actually learn how to cook. I've called my dad a couple of times and be like, Dad, how did you make this dish? Because I think we're all going back to our home comforts because we can't necessarily see our families at the moment. It's a good time to try and recreate those dishes to give ourselves a sense of that comfort food. I've been writing still, and then I've been doing a few bits and pieces here for Family Style, so that's kept the creative juices going a little bit as well. So
Excellent. Oh, wow, that's really tough, especially I believe some of your family is like all over the world.
I have family in Taiwan, Hong Kong, and so yeah, we're spread about. So yeah, but this is why FaceTime and everything is so good, because you know you can't see them, but at least you can, you know, we can do video chats here and there. So
excellent. Well, you know, it's the wonders of technology. I think that's our
very
blessing.
true. Definitely.
Excellent. Well, hey, Stacy, hey, thank you very much for speaking with me.
Thank you so much.
Checked out a few episodes. It's very touching. It's very good. I mean, it makes me really hungry and strive for like,
yes, get food before you watch, or eat while you watch it, because you will be hungry.
Excellent. Hopefully we get to do this again.
I would love that. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye now.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.